6 fundamental verses to help any person going through a difficult time, season, or situation in your life. Coming up next on Striving for Excellence. Hello lovelies, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Tiffany here on Striving for Excellence. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to my channel where we talk about all things truth. In this video, we'll be talking about 6 fundamental verses to help anybody going through a difficult time, season, situation in your life. I pray that these verses will give you peace and reassurance in God. Let's dive into it. Our first verse comes from the book of James. James 1:2-3 reads, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience." The NIV version says perseverance. What does perseverance mean? It is the persistence in doing something consistently despite the difficulty or the outcome in achieving success. Do you realize that you can profit from your trials and your tribulations? You are becoming more seasoned. You are growing in your faith. You are growing in God. You are producing perseverance. You are producing patience, and you are becoming spiritually mature. You are like that house in Luke 6, verses 47-49, that house that was built on the rock. And when the storm hit, you were not easily moved, nor were you shaken, or was the destruction great, because you are solid in the Lord. Your foundation is in the Lord. Our second verse comes from the book of James. James 1:4 reads, "Allow patience to do its perfect work, that you will become perfect." Perfect as in more mature and complete, lacking nothing. You know, many times we cannot control the difficulties in our life, but we do have the power to choose how we respond and how we react by having the right attitude and the right mindset. God wants to know, do you trust Him? Our third verse also comes from the book of James. I know it seems like everything's coming from James, but these are on point. James 1:5 reads, "If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it shall be given to them." If you're faced with a difficult choice or a difficult decision and you're not really sure what to do, you can always come to God. You can always ask Him, and He will give you His wisdom. You can always seek God through prayer, through supplication, through fellowship and fasting. But when you go to God, you got to go to Him with faith. Okay, you can't be wavering to the left or to the right. But what's more, you have to be prepared to receive whatever it is God is calling you to do. You know, many times when we're praying or hoping for something that we want done in our life, a lot of times the things that we want aren't always in line with God's will for our life. Sometimes we want to go to the right when God is pushing us to the left. So whatever it is that you're praying for, whatever wisdom you need, are you prepared to do what God has called you to do? Are you prepared to receive His wisdom and to act accordingly? Our fourth verse comes from the book of Romans 8:24-25. "For we were saved in this hope. But hope that is seen is not hope. For why does one still hope for what he sees? Why does a person want what they already have? But if we hope for the things which we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with perseverance." And what does perseverance mean? It is the persistence in doing something consistently despite the outcome or the difficulty in achieving success. What is it that you are praying for today? Are you praying to be delivered from a difficult situation? Are you faced with a difficult decision? Are you praying on God's wisdom? Are you praying for a new career? Are you praying because you're being faced with a difficult challenge on having to relocate? Are you praying for a new job, a relationship? Are you praying for healing? God wants to know, how serious are you about this? He wants to know, are you going to trust him in faith? Are you going to allow God to do what he needs to do in your life according to his will? Are you going to allow him to move on his time and in his way? Verse 5 comes from Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Remember that when we respond to a difficult season, a difficult decision, a difficult whatever in our lives, and we respond with the right attitude, when we respond in faith, it allows God to move and work in our life. He can take our difficulties and use it to bless us. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden by eating that forbidden fruit from the tree of good and evil, they brought sin into the world. They brought destruction. They brought death and chaos. But God already had a plan orchestrated. He sent his only begotten Son to earth to redeem his people by bearing the weight of sin, the sin of the world, on his shoulders, by dying on the cross. God took a bad situation and made it good. Verse 6, Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. You know, we forget that we're made in the very image of God. Yes, we are sinners, and yes, we are far from perfect. We're not going to always do the right thing or make the right choice, but we are made in God's likeness. Okay, God has equipped us with everything that we need to overcome every obstacle, every challenge, every temptation, and every difficulty. Psalms 55:22 says, "Cast your burdens on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be shaken." And John 16:33 says, "In the world you will have trouble and tribulations, but take heart, for I have overcome the world." And those were the 6 verses, you guys. But I have one more just to further encourage you. Never forget Psalms 139:14. "For I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works that my soul knows very well." Never forget who you are and who you belong to. No matter what you're going through in this season, you are not alone. God is with you always. He sees you right in that difficulty, right in your trials and tribulations. Always remember that if God is for you, who can be against you? Okay, you guys, that concludes today's video of 6 fundamental verses to help anybody get through a difficult time in their life. I hope these verses were valuable and significant. If you got any value in this video, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you're going through in the comment section below. And we'll see you this time next week on Striving for Excellence. God bless.